Now back to Outdoors with Larry Ray on ESPN 790 AM. Brought to you proudly by the Tennessee Wildlife Resource Agency, Sportsman's Warehouse, and Barton Power Sports.
Hey, good Saturday morning. Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray on this September the 10th. It's hard to believe, and Ron Wong is in here as the second Saturday, as he always is. It's hard to believe, Ron, that September the 11th, 15 years ago, we were all, the world changed.
It really did. And tomorrow, take a moment.
Oh, yeah.
First of all, give thanks for what we have.
Yes.
Secondly, a prayer for all those that were affected.
Are still affected.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Each and every one of us.
It's still going down. But anyway, we salute all of our first responders here on Outdoors with Larry Ray and have for our entire career and everything. So I told you we're going to talk a lot about fishing today. We've already jumped a little bit duck hunting in there, a little bit of that. But
we got to, because teal season opens today, you were talking about.
And wood duck season, I could tell you stories about opening day of wood duck season.
Love to eat those wood ducks, too.
Yeah, but hey, we got David Best on with us now, and you folks that are out at the Mid-South Hunting and Fishing Extravaganza, all these different things. David was kind enough to do some seminars, as Ron was, and David likes to fish. I think
yes, he does, and he
just a little bit.
Just a little bit,
and he does very, very well.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit, David. And I appreciate you coming on this Saturday morning. You can go to midsouthbassfishing.com, or you can go to their online store at primarytackle.com. David is out of Bartlett, but he's fished in East Arkansas, North Mississippi, West Tennessee, all over. And Ron was talking about, David, I want to kick this around a little bit between you two guys, because you guys have, even though I am older, you have more experience than I do in certain things, and that's fall fishing. Let me talk. Let me talk about now. We're coming off 90-degree temperatures,
and your water temperature has been in the mid to upper 80s.
Amazing. Now, so we're in. So what's this going to affect? Let's talk. You guys just got to talk, because I listened about, what should we expect?
Well, the biggest thing is that the lunch wagon, or the forage that the bass bass feed on,
works food into even a fishing thing.
Starts to move shallow. They start to move back into coves and creeks, and they become easier to catch. And, of course, our friend David Best here with Mid-South Bass Fishing, Primary Tackle, he carries a lot of different items that's going to be very, very good to use for those fish moving shallow. And, David, talk a little bit about, some of the things you have. You've got your Gandy square bills. You've got swim baits. You've got stuff like that, the spinner baits now, the Billy Phillips spinner baits, that's going to work well.
Yeah, and this is one of my favorite times of year to fish, even though it can be kind of one of the tougher times for the next month, because the fish are transitioning. We can catch fish right now anywhere from on a ledge to up shallow, and like Ron said, with the water beginning to cool, the fish are beginning to already move shallower. I'm already getting a lot of reports of people catching fish at Pickwick in less than 5 foot of water, at area lakes in less than 5 foot of water, where fish are moving up.
Yep,
they're chasing bait, and what that bait's doing is it's looking for that cooler water. Well, we've got some great products. This is one of my favorite times of year to fish a spinnerbait, and I rarely get in my boat that I don't have a spinnerbait tied on. But, we've got a lot of the Billy Phillips spinnerbaits that are got a neat little head on them. And it's a planer type head, so it comes across grass real well, and it comes across brush and rocks and stuff really, real well. But it has a neat little glide, and it's a little bit slower type bait that you can kind of throw. Or they've got their drop baits that are the M&M type heads that you can let go all the way to the bottom, jerk them up, and, use them like a drop or almost like a jig. We've got our little swim minnows, which is a little 3.5-inch or a 5-inch swim minnow. You can match those up to the size of the bait that you're fishing. And you get these little tough days when they're around school and you're around school and fish, which we're beginning to see some of. that little 3.5-inch swim minnow just rigged on a little jig head thrown on a spinning rod can be just deadly because it's something a little smaller, something that looks a little more natural. So that's another type bait to throw. And square bill, like Ron said, is a great bait to throw this time of year.
Well, Ron's got all those on his 58 rods and reels he has in the boat, So, but Ron,
and I have to tell you, I do use a lot of the items that they have, that David has here. That swim bait that he has is pretty amazing. And don't forget the soft plastics. Because here's what happens: as these fish start to move shallower.
This time of the year.
Time of the year, one of the things that they like to do is to find a piece of cover and sit there and ambush bait as it comes by. So one of the things I like to do is to have a Texas rig brush pig.
Texas rig brush pig. Like that, Greg. You learning, Greg Ratliff, you learning that?
And
Texas rig
with an 1/8 ounce tungsten weight.
Yeah.
And just flip it up into these pieces of cover, whether it's brush, lay downs, or whatever. Works real well, doesn't it, David?
Not a big area either.
No.
Go ahead, David.
Yeah, no, and that's a great point Ron's making. On these higher pressure days when we got these nice little bluebird skies, the fish don't move around quite as much.
Yeah,
and that's exactly the way to catch them. That little creature bait is just hard to beat. Throwing that little bush pig, just like you said, on an 1/8 ounce weight, 3/16, whatever your preference is.
Right.
And even around grass, throwing it with a little heavier weight and punching it through some of these heavy grass areas that we have on some of these lakes.
But you can
Here
catch.
locally can be a great way to catch them too.
And you can catch good fish, can't you, Ron? This size.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the time of the year where the fish have one thing on their mind, especially bass.
Yeah.
And that's eating. And their biological clock tells them it's time to get ready for winter, and so they eat and eat and eat. They don't know when to quit. It's pretty
This is their
amazing.
growth period right here. This is when they put on their weight for the winter.
Well, and also it's part of the beginning of the spawning process.
Yes,
for them.
Yeah,
especially for the big female bass, and it's pretty amazing. And one of the things that David just talked about was using a tungsten weight. I highly recommend that people go and take and convert from lead to tungsten.
Yes.
Although tungsten is a lot more expensive, it will certainly help you catch more fish. Right, David?
It sure will. It's just because it's a denser, harder metal.
Mm-hmm.
So what it does is it transmits signals through your line much better to you. You can feel that fish better when he hits, but you can also feel things on the bottom better.
Absolutely.
With lead, you'll be pulling through there. Now, this is something a little different, but can't really tell. You can almost tell, oh, I'm pulling across sand. Oh, no, this is pea gravel.
Right.
Oh, hey, wait a minute. What's that that feels like a piece of some kind of other iron or something that I'm hitting against.
You can actually
tell
right.
what you're feeling a lot of times with that you can't really tell with a lot of other things.
We're talking to David Best, Mid-South Bass. Go to midsouthbassfishing.com or primarytackle.com. And, of course, Ron Long is in studio. Let me ask you guys right now, let's get a little, because I want to use this segment once a month with David and Ron to talk a little about where to go now. Ron,
well, you know, whether it's a private pond or a public lake, but when you talk about public lakes, you know, some of our TWRA lakes right now are really becoming good. The Glen Springs, the Herb Parsons, those kind of places.
Don't overlook them.
Sardis Lake, Enid, excellent. And Grenada Lake, oh my gosh. Watch out, the crappie are getting ready to bite. As a matter of fact, let me just say that later on this month, I will be down at Grenada
for a big event
to cover, the Bass Pro Shops Crappie Masters National Championship. There's going to be a lot of 3-pound crappie caught. And then, you know, Tennessee River. What a great place. And, of course, David is a Pickwick specialist, and he knows how to get them there, right, David?
I do pretty well there.
Yeah.
I do pretty well there.
Don't forget the topwater baits. David, as you well know, they're chasing shad, which a lot of times they're on top of the water when it cools down, but the topwater bait works well.
Oh, yeah. This time of year, throwing a little popper or throwing a little walking-style topwater bait can be one of the best ways to catch those big stringers of fish that are out there. Just because a lot of times those bigger fish, they will hit a topwater with just this time of year as well or as better than any other time of the year. So a lot of tournaments come September and October are going to be won. I know the regional out of Pickwick a couple of years ago for BFL was one on a topwater. There's a lot of good topwater fishing for the next 2 to 3 months.
Hey, David,
don't overlook it.
You've got a very big line of tackle that you've
Yes, he does.
started out.
Yes,
from
he does.
the very humble beginnings of the brush pig and a couple of weights and that. But if somebody in the Memphis area wants to go out and get some of this stuff, where do they go?
Well, you can go to Gator Brown's Bait and Tackle in Bartlett.
Yes, go to
right
Gator.
there at Summer and Stage.
Mm-hmm. And where are you
we've
usually
got our
there?
full line of rods and tackle there.
Aren't you there some? You're there a little bit every once in a while, aren't you?
I'm there pretty regular. Not as much as I'd like to. I mean, we spend a lot of time on my side of the business out, promoting the company and doing shows.
Uh-huh.
We do 10 or 12 shows a year.
Yes.
You're there in
and
the
then I
afternoons a
also call
lot
tackle
of times,
shops across
right?
the southeast.
And you're there a lot in the afternoons during the week, aren't you?
Typically, that's when you would find me there, between 3 and 5 on the afternoons, or usually on a Saturday morning, Sunday morning. If I'm not at the lake.
Well, David, we appreciate you. We're going to lean on you once a month here to talk a little local fishing with you and Ron. And
we look forward to it.
I know it's a lot of information, folks, but go to MidSouthBassFishing.com or PrimaryTackle.com. David Best, we'll talk to you later. Have a great day, okay, buddy?
Thank you, Larry.
All right.
Appreciate it.
We'll see you. Bye-bye. All right, let's take a break on Outdoors with Larry Ray and be right back.
You can find